Darcy Hansen, welcome.
Good morning.
I'm glad we finally were able to get this together.
Yeah, me too.
Running
Thank
a
you for being patient with me.
Of course, running a small business in the Bitterroot is not an easy task for sure.
That is true.
So, yes, you have to be adaptable.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But we finally got it to happen. You're here on the tails of winning a somewhat prestigious award.
A couple, actually.
A couple?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just aware of the one. What else was there? So you got
Well, which one are you talking
the Business of the Year. Oh, which one?
No, that does sound facetious.
No, it's great. No, it's impressive is what it is.
Thank you.
The one that I'm familiar with is the Business of the Year award from the Bitterroot Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, very, very thankful and so proud. And we were Bitterroot's best insurance agent for the second year in a row.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right on.
I know. It's just such a blessing. It feels so good that we're being loved and supported by our community and friends and family. And I mean, what really is a better feeling than that?
Excellent. Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell the people a little bit about, give us your story, how you got to the Bitterroot and got started with insurance.
Yeah, well, insurance is obviously not something people wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to go pursue being an insurance agent today. Even my sales leader shared that with me during my interviews, that it's something that you fall in love with, and then you learn about it, and then you want to share it with others. But my background is in long-term care. I was an administrator in long-term care for about 15 years, and we lived in Nebraska. And my husband and I decided to move to the Bitterroot, like everybody else does, for good reason. And I explored some different career options, and my husband said to me, he's like, I think you'd be good at being an insurance agent. And excuse the pause, and I thought to myself, well, that doesn't sound very fun. And so State Farm had an opportunity in Stevensville, and I pursued it, and just one thing after the other fell into place, and I just knew that that's what the Lord wanted me to do.
Right.
And so we remodeled our space there in Stevensville, and the office looks great, and now we're about 4 years in, and it's been amazing. I mean, my husband actually works in insurance, so I knew quite a bit about insurance from his perspective. So even though I'm a newer agent, I'm not new to the insurance industry.
Right. Okay. Nice. Mm-hmm. That's I love the relational aspect of it, in the sense. Well, obviously the relations between individuals when you're in the industry, but these stories of people, like how they get to where they in their current career, and like what they were doing before, and how they're able to connect that past. I can definitely see. Yeah, there's kind of a connection there with long-term care.
Yeah, definitely the leadership role. I was the administrator. I had employees, so running a business, it's all the same in the end. So this is a little different though, because my team is smaller. The team I had before was quite a bit larger, and it's just a different dynamic. Yeah, and like you said earlier, whether we're in the Bitterroot or anywhere else, running a small business, sometimes you're the janitor and the CEO.
Yep.
So, when you're a small business, you have to just adjust and make things work, and I love it. I mean, it's just our customers are just so happy, right? And that's so important to me, and so I'm just thankful that I get the opportunity to do this. And again, like I said, insurance isn't a topic people get excited about, but I do. And so that's why I feel blessed that I get to come share some of my knowledge with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn. So I guess we'll start off with, I think, something that's on a lot of people's minds these days, which is wildfires in relation to insurance, because obviously we've had a lot of things happening in California.
Correct.
And we're not exactly unaware of the or ignorant of the dangers of forest fires in our area. A lot of people live in the middle of a lot of trees.
Correct.
So what does that look like here in the Bitterroot? I mean, what's kind of the insurance perspective on that sort of I don't
Situation.
know situation? Yeah, I guess we
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack with that. So, I'm just going to kind of unfold some stuff and ask you some questions.
Sure.
Because you're a consumer, right? I don't expect you to know everything about insurance. So, I have a totally different knowledge. And so, as I ask you questions too, your responses are probably going to be similar to most consumers, right? And then we'll discuss those. So, do you, Ryan, where you live, think that your home is prepared if a wildfire were to come through?
Mine, yes.
Okay, so tell me why.
Because I have one, it's a metal roof. Two, there are no trees within, I would say, at least 60 feet of the house.
Okay.
Between that is watered lawn. There is some shrubbery, but I'm not too concerned about that one. If something were to land on that, we could probably put that one out relatively quickly. But other than that, we are in a residential area. It's up on a hill. The wind usually goes away from the trees. So I don't feel no. And where I am, I feel relatively protected. But that doesn't mean something can't happen.
Right. Okay, very good. So I can tell you've already thought this through, right? You had very good answers. Sometimes people don't even know if they are. And so one thing you pointed out is you have a metal roof. That's wonderful. That's great. Excellent. Not everybody has a metal roof, right? Asphalt shingles, great as well. Okay. Having a certain amount of space between your house and your yard or the trees is a very big deal. At State Farm, the requirement is 5 feet. Other insurance companies might expect more than that. So you've already thought that through, so that's very good. And the reason is if the fire gets up to the trees, you can at least have some space around the house to put foam or, like you said, to be watering to, hopefully try to keep the fire at bay. Okay? Do you have insurance?
Yeah, we have renter's insurance. I'm renting at the moment.
Perfect. So. That's great. So that's what I'm saying. And the people that own the house, I would want to make sure that they have insurance as well, right? So that's the other part. So I want to just talk real quick about insurance is risk, okay? A lot of people own their homes, and so they don't have a mortgage. Usually a mortgage requires you to have insurance because the mortgage company loaned you the money. If your house catches on fire, they want their money back. Right? But a lot of people here in the Bitterroot own their homes or they have second homes here. And so they don't have to have insurance. And to me, that is, like I said, it's risk. And that's okay. You don't have to have it. But if your house burns down, wouldn't you rather the insurance company write you a check? Right? But the other part of that risk is that say you go your whole life paying a few $1,000s a year and you never have a claim. That's also a financial risk because you spent all those years giving money to a company that never gave you anything back.
Right.
Okay? So each insurance is personal to each person. So where you live, it's important. Like your home is personal to you. My home is personal to me. So I'll give you an example about the Bitterroot here. So not all areas in the Bitterroot have fire danger, right? So you live in a residential area. In town, places aren't, not too worried about the fire getting to the homes in town.
Right.
It's really the people who live up in the mountains. Okay? And so the insurance company I work for, we do have, some more strict expectations of people who have homes in a heavily wooded area. Okay? And not all insurance companies will insure homes in a wooded area. Okay? So I'll give you an example. I had a new customer come in yesterday. They're an older couple, and they've been with the same company for like 30 or 40 years. And they got a letter in the mail that said, we're no longer going to insure your homeowners as of this date, which it's usually a couple months out, not because of anything you've done, but because we've deemed where you live to be in a wildfire zone. Okay? Scary, right? And of course, they're hurt because we take safety in our comfort. And comfort is I've been with this company for 30 years. Now I have to go figure something else out. So setting it down and talking to them, helping them understand, like I'm sharing with you, that just because their company that they've been with insurance has deemed their home as a wildfire zone doesn't mean all insurance companies do.
Yes.
Okay? So like you said, with where you live, there's a lot that's been put into place to keep the home safe, right? That's what this couple has done. So again, like probably your listeners, they're thinking to themselves, oh no, could this happen to me? Yes, it can, but don't be afraid because there are plenty of companies that will take on your home with insurance. So in our system where I'm in my office, I can type in an address and see if it's considered a wildfire zone for us. And there were no concerns. So we were able to help them, and they got new insurance and moved forward, and they left feeling relieved. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because in relation to what's been happening in California, it does affect us here in Montana, whether we like it or not. And I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. Okay? So smaller insurance companies. So what happens? We're gonna put you kind of in a position of a homeowner. Okay, in California, and say you pay $4,000 a year, okay, for your homeowner's insurance. You've had this home insured with, I'm going to use State Farm as an example, but this is not State Farm specific. Okay, you've had that home for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, same company you've had insurance with. Your rate is $4,000 a year. So 4,000 times 20 is $60,000, right? So you've paid the insurance company $60,000 over the last 20 years. Okay, if your house burnt down, how much do you think? Like, say that your house was worth $500,000. Right?
Yeah.
So the insurance company is writing you a check for $500,000. And the amount that you've given is $60,000.
Right.
So large insurance companies like State Farm can handle that. They can pull their funds from other states, right, to put into that. But small insurance companies take a hit.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if they're local. Right?
Right.
So there's a lot of that happening right now, that those smaller insurance companies are starting to sell off or dissipate because they can't handle what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all these houses, and I was modest with a $500,000 house in California. They're all, even a small house, there's $2 million.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Right.
mean, the average price here is close to $500,000 in the Bitterroot Valley.
Exactly. So even if you're paying, say you would have paid $100,000 over that 20 years, the insurance company is not, I guess I don't know how to explain it. They're the ones who are taking the hit.
Yes.
But at least for State Farm, they're there and they're going to take care of their customers. So the big fires that California had was that this year? At the end of last year? That was earlier this year.
Beginning of this year, yeah.
Yeah. So
seems like a world ago already.
I know. It seems like it was a lot longer. 6 months before that, State Farm decided to quit writing homeowners insurance in California. They didn't pull out completely, but they saw the writing on the wall. And a lot of people who live in California already knew this was a possibility to happen. It was more just waiting for it to happen.
Right.
So I know that the news I've got from State Farm, a lot of work that they're trying to do with the insurance commissioner, and they have for years to try to bridge the gap. And it's just hard. You know, I mean, you have two entities that have totally different thoughts and expectations and what they want. You know, and it's not just State Farm, it's all the insurance companies, but State Farm is the largest. And I think they're like the big brother that a lot of other insurance companies kind of look at or draw to or say, you know, what you're fighting for us too. So it's just still a mess. I mean, at the end of the day, I know the company I work for is doing their best, but yeah, you know, it being in California and owning a home, it's a rough situation. So with that being said, let's talk about the Bitterroot where we live. Okay, there are wildfire zones here in the Bitterroot. Okay, and I encourage people before they purchase a house or their realtor knowing that. Okay, we can't just assume every place that has a tree is a wildfire zone.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, with State Farm, I have some areas outside of Florence, outside of Sula, a little bit outside of Stevensville. Other companies have a bigger area. So encouraging your customers to talk to their insurance company is a very good idea.
I never realized that it's by insurance company. It's not like a national standard or a state standard. Okay.
Correct.
So each individual insurance company is determining what is a wildfire zone for them.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, why it's important for, you know, people like yourself, realtors who are trying to help guide their customers because they fall in love with the house. They've had an insurance company for 40 years. They can't get insurance at the place that they've been forever. That can cause a conflict. You know, and then being that hero for your customer by giving them the information. Hey, go talk to your insurance people. That's why I highly, highly recommend people have an agent.
Yes.
And I don't mean just at State Farm, but you need an expert because let's face it, Ryan, do you know a lot about insurance?
I know very basic things about insurance, and that's it. Yeah.
You are like everybody else.
That's why I defer to people that know more than me.
Yeah. And that's smart because, again, insurance is a topic that we get it because we know we have to.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
Like I know if this happens, I need to have insurance. But insurance is actually very personal. And so if you just, you know, look it up online and get insurance and then your house burns down, if you're underinsured, you're going to be pretty disappointed. You know, so finding a trusted person that understands insurance, I think, is very important.
Couldn't agree more.
Awesome.
So outside of wildfires,
Okay.
what is something in the insurance world that is unique about the Bitterroot Valley?
Excuse me. Yeah. So we have a lot of people who have second homes here.
Okay.
And you know that, right? What percentage do you think of the sales that you make in a year are second homes?
I could estimate that it's somewhere around 30%.
Okay, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
To me, because where I moved from, Nebraska, that nobody had a second home there. So we are a place where people want to come and retreat from wherever else they are, or they have a second home because they want to retire here someday.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason that's unique is because second homes or additional homes have a high rate of insurance claims. Why do you think that is?
Because they're not there to maintain it.
You got it, because they're not there to maintain it. And if a water leak happens, days and weeks can go by.
Yeah.
And every day that goes by, the cost of the insurance claim just goes up, right? So insurance companies are starting to have higher expectations with that, making changes and saying, okay, if we're going to insure your second home, we require a water shutoff system, or we require, like a security system, things like that. Previously, insurance didn't require those things, but companies are starting to have requirements with that. And at the end of the day, why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want a water shut-off system in your home that you're not in very much?
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
For it's a headache that you don't have to deal with. So basically, a little bit of water starts to come out of the toilet or something, turns the water off. So it went from just, getting some towels and cleaning it up. It saves a lot, not just for the insurance company, but the customer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can imagine that those things can get out of hand. I mean, it's a pain in the butt when you are living in that house full time and something like that happens. And then, yeah, if you get a slow leak somewhere, that can be a lot of damage.
That's right.
A lot of damage.
Yeah. So the other thing that makes the Bitterroot unique is, in this, again, from my perspective, okay, that we don't have a lot of weather issues here, okay, compared to a lot of places in the country. So, for example, I talk to customers, my own customers, and people moving here, or people coming to my insurance company from another one, that I'll say to them, so how old is your roof on your home? And they talk about it and think about it, and they're like, well, we built the house in 2002 or 2005, and we've never had to replace the roof. So a lot of that is because we don't have a lot of inclement weather, like hail and tornadoes and the types of weather that cause roofs to need to be replaced. A couple years ago, we had hail. We have wind. I'm not saying it never happens, but being here in the Bitterroot, in the Banana Belt, we're protected from a lot of harsh elements. And so people's roofs stay on the roof for a long time. Okay? And what happens is, I'll give you an example, like the customers that came in yesterday and they were being canceled by the insurance company they were with. They come to us. If their roof was, say, 25 years old, State Farm would say, well, we want to inspect it first before we're willing to take this risk on.
Right.
Because an older roof creates more risk. Okay? So a lot of homes in the Bitterroot Valley have older roofs. And so that is, to me, that is unique to our area, which in some ways is a blessing because you haven't had damage to your roof. But in the next breath, it's money out of a person's pocket. Because do you think that insurance covers a roof that is old just because it aged?
Not likely.
Exactly. It doesn't. That is a homeowner's job.
Yeah.
Just like pipes that are old and are leaky. Insurance is meant to cover something that's a sudden incident, not wear and tear over time. And I think that's a big misconception that customers have, that, well, I've been paying all these years. They should replace my roof. But I don't think any of us read that big policy booklet we get.
Yeah, it's not like when you have car insurance and the paint starts, flaking off due to sun exposure that, the insurance company needs to pay to get my car repainted.
Yes, correct.
It's like, no, it was your responsibility to wax it.
Yeah.
While you owned it.
That's right.
But if you need if you get in an accident and you need a new fender, that's a different story.
You got it right. So the other big thing about insurance that I think is a topic people don't like to talk about because it's uncomfortable is liability. So just from your perspective, again, as a regular consumer, why do you think liability coverage is important on your home or your auto?
Just in case.
That's right.
Just in case.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just in case you are driving down the road and something happens and you hit the person in front of you.
Yep.
And they get hurt, right? By having insurance, your insurance company is putting out and going to bat for you to pay for not only the physical damage of that vehicle, but the people inside when they get hurt. Same thing with homeowners. Say you have somebody come over, they're walking up the steps to your house, and your step is a little rickety because you hadn't fixed it, and they fall, and it can happen.
Yep.
Right? And they get hurt.
And boy, do we like being litigious in our
we
society
do, Ryan.
here. Oh, man.
Yes, we do. And it happens, suing or, that type of insurance claims are it happens a lot more than the average person realizes. And I just think that we don't talk about it. And so, you don't go to coffee and be like, well, I just, want you to know, all my friends, that I'm suing my neighbor. People don't like talking about that, but it happens quite a bit. So liability on your policies are very important. And to say that will never happen to me is a big mistake, because we hope it never happens to you.
Yeah.
But, right, insurance is about risk.
It is. And unfortunately, there's also people out there that look for those opportunities too.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, it's kind of sad.
That is exactly right. Actually, surprisingly, had one of my customers call today is Wednesday, on Monday. She was pretty upset, and she was in Oregon at a Walmart parking lot. And she said, Darcy, she's like, I was just slowly backing out, and all of a sudden, boom. It was just she said it was a tiny little bump, right? She took pictures. Basically, the reason she called was to tell me she felt she had been had by the person behind her. Okay? There are people out there who do these things. Go find people like, oh, I bumped into the dumpster at my house. I'm going to go to the Walmart parking lot and get right behind somebody who's pulling out, and they're going to bump me, and then I'm going to tell them they did it. So that is, again, why you want insurance, because an adjuster will do an investigation on that. But it happens, Yeah. And so to say, well, that'll never happen to me, you didn't cause that, but it can happen. So you're right. There are a lot of people out there like that, even in our area, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll try not to get too much into that one.
Yeah, we could get in the weeds on that. Yeah.
Dangerous territory, Dangerous territory.
Yeah.
No, but that's it's good to cover your bases. Mm-hmm. It's good to be prepared. And it does seem, the amount of money that you spend on a yearly basis is almost negligible if something were to happen. Because these things can get expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had a claim on a house myself, but just from the perspective of the studios falling apart, we should probably get some insurance on that as well.
You do, actually. And you've got very good insurance, so you have nothing to worry about there.
I think that one is more owner and renter liability than it is. That's a wear and tear issue.
Yeah. That's a personal property issue, actually.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah.
how
Just so you know.
That we need some new sticky tape.
Yeah. I didn't like that part of that picture anyways.
Yeah, see, it's all right. It works out.
Just teasing.
Folks, see, this is why you need to listen and support the podcast so we can upgrade our studio, and be sure to like and subscribe so things like that don't happen on air. Anyway, thanks for rolling with the punches. I have a little something to read
Okay.
that I hope I got it right. And I would like for you... Well, I'll read it, and then we'll see if... Because I wanted to ask you about this previously, but...
Okay.
I hope I was paying attention. And if I distribute all my goods in order to feed the poor, and if I hand over my body to be burned, yet not have charity, it offers me nothing. Charity is patient, is kind. Charity does not envy, does not act wrongly, is not inflated. Charity is not ambitious, does not seek for itself, is not provoked to anger, and devises no evil. And I think there was probably more to that.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I
I'm actually looking it up here.
I had it on my phone, but I can't use my phone.
I know, because you're using it for that. Well, guess what? I'm using mine. Yeah, so, well, that would help if I type that correctly. So what's your question about that? I know where you're going, but I'm just curious why you brought that up.
So I just want to hear how this was something that you said in your acceptance speech of the award at the Bitter Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Gala dinner, and it stuck with me. And I wanted to just ask you how you relate that to your business.
Yes. Oh, this means so much to me. Thank you. So, I run my business based on being a Christian. Okay. And 1 Corinthians 13:4 is what I read, and a lot of people know it, right? You've heard it. Love is patient, love is kind, love is forgiving, what love is, right? And I teach my team members to treat our customers in this fashion, because people get angry about insurance. People get upset. They have to pay money. We work, and we want to use our money to do what we want to do, right? Mm-hmm. But guess what? There's a couple parts of that money that you don't get to pick. You have to pay for insurance. And so I don't take that lightly, that people choose my office to, pay that money that they may never get anything out of it. And I want my customers to feel loved and cared about, and that we're going to be there to fight for them. And so ultimately, it's just my personal faith in how I choose to run my office and the expectations I have of my team and how we treat our customers.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Right on. Great philosophy to maintain. And I can understand that from, people have their opinions about insurance, and
I don't blame them.
Yeah, no, it can be challenging to navigate that. So it's very important for the people that are in that industry, and I can relate that to my side of the business as well.
Yes.
We don't always have the best view in the public eye, I think. There's a lot of negative words said about real estate agents, and I can understand that. Yeah, it's not always a pleasurable experience for some people, and I work very hard to also bring a perspective like that as well,
I love that.
To maintain a sense of integrity, and to keep, I'm not doing this to take your money. I'm doing this because
to serve you and help you.
This is to give you the best possible outcome you could have in the situation as it currently is. Yeah. Maybe someday things will change and it'll be a different method, but this is how we're working in the current world, and well, let's try to make it the best we can possibly make it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I teach my team, and I already know that this is how you are, is behaving like this when no one's watching.
Yes.
That's what truly matters. And I think that's where it comes down to people see that, and I'm just very blessed. Like the fact that you brought that up, that resonated with you, that is my whole purpose. We all have a bigger purpose outside of what we do for a living. And so I want to be known for that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Darcy.
Yeah.
I think it's a good spot to close her out.
What more is there to say?
I know. I think we figured it out.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about insurance and just talk about myself as well. Like I said, insurance is important, and I want people to understand how it affects them and for them to be safe rather than sorry.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell people how to get in contact with you if they have any questions about insurance?
Absolutely. So I'm the State Farm Insurance Agent in Stevensville, Montana, and you can actually get on our website would be the easiest, and that's protectingwhatmatters.net.
Beautiful. All righty. Well, thank you, Darcy.
Yes, you're awesome, Ryan. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.